And welcome back, Worldwide Wolves, for the first time in a couple weeks. First time in September, maybe? But we're here talking about some Timberwolves, and the season gets started relatively soon. Should be fun, but Worldwide Wolves, I'm coming to you from Pittsburgh, and my co host, Jake, coming to you from Australia. Jake, how are you doing? How is Australia?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Australia's fine. Just as good as it always is. So, yeah, I was on holiday. You were away doing things as well. So we're finally back, which is exciting. And yeah, we're getting closer. There's only 2 weeks until preseason games, so we're very close now.
Yeah, it should be good. And before we get into today's topic, which is going to be just overreactions from the off season, just quick news dump from everything we missed. And Bones Highland signed. That's it. Yeah, so we're not just to get into today's topic. What we're gonna do is just I don't know, remember the off season a bit. It's not really a recap because that'd be boring. More of just observations and overreactions going into the season based on what happened this off season. Should be fun. We each have a few ideas to throw out, but I'm gonna throw it to you, Jake. First, you want to start us off with an off season overreaction?
Yeah, so I was kind of trying to think of what happened in the off season, and it wasn't a lot really. Like obviously, this team didn't do a lot free agency wise, trade wise, but I do think that they're going into the season with a little bit of a different look. And this guy, Yoan Bornjaye, I don't think he's going to play minutes right out of the gate next season. But I'm excited about him. I'm overreacting to him, I guess, because I think he went from a guy who we expected to just be in the Iowa Wolves basement for the whole season to a guy who I think is the third center in the rotation, the Luka Garza kind of role in this rotation. And when you have Rudy Gobert who's getting older, you have Julius Randle who has had injuries throughout his career. I do think Yoan Bornjaye is probably going to see some more minutes than we thought next season, and he's going to have a chance in this rotation at some point to play a small role. But I think it will be a significant role for fans because we want to see these young guys and see what they can do. And I think the overreaction here is that he's way more NBA ready than I think we thought, and I think that the coaching staff thought when they drafted him as well. So. Um, I'm excited to see him just if he does get that NBA opportunity, even if it's for 15 games, for 20 games, to be a backup five, and to really see if he can cement himself for the season after this one in that tiny role, or at least give us a little glimpse into what we're expecting from him in the future. And I do think he's going to get that chance. It's not going to be NBA minutes from day one, but this guy looked awesome in summer league, and everything that we've heard from the coaching staff suggests that they're more impressed with him than they thought they would be, and that he really is kind of growing at a rapid rate already. So I guess that's my first overreaction, is that this young French kid who's only been playing basketball for 4 years is going to get a chance at some season, and has worked himself into that fringe rotation role that inevitably will get some minutes as injuries come, and it's a long season. So I'm excited for that day when it comes.
Yeah, it kind of ties. We can just have a whole discussion on this. It ties in with one of mine as well. Just that was it's on Rudy Gobert, and that I think he's going to be one of the bigger fallers this season. But my overreaction, I guess, was that it may not matter as much considering they drafted what should be his potential replacement. Now, of course, I don't expect a ton out of Baron J, but he raises the floor of that position. And Rudy Gobert, I think, his best quality to me has just been his floor raising ability for this team. But as his offense continues to decline and he just continues to get older, and I don't know, pieces around him are just they're better, but they don't fit Rudy that well all the time, it seems. So one of my bigger overreactions that I wrote is just that I think Rudy's going to be one of the bigger fallers, and that Baron J will be able to hopefully step up in some limited minutes. We don't know what it's going to be, but I'm glad we both had Baron J on there. It seems whenever Finch or anyone in the front office talks about the draft or just talks about Baron J, they're lauding him or just like really impressed, or they're like saying he's just progressing faster than they expected. So yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to what they're going to get out of him. It may be nothing. I mean, honestly, it could just be literally Luka Garza replacement, where it's very, very rare and the crowd pops, but he never gets any meaningful minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, but I don't know. Rudy's 33 now, and I mean, the offense Like the defense is solid. It still is. It's still really good, but he's getting worse and worse and worse on the offensive end of the ball. So how long can they sustain that with him playing heavy minutes? Of course, they've got Nas Reed to switch it up with the center rotation, but Bornjaye could be a legitimate piece. He's young, but they took him, mid first round, and I'm excited to see what his role could be. So I'm with you with that one.
Yeah, I mean, Luka Garza played 219 minutes still last season, which was about similar to, a little bit less than what TJ Shannon played. Like, he did have that period in the middle of the season when they gave him a chance, when both Gobert and Randall were injured. He didn't play well, but there is a role there for that third big. And I think with Bornjaye, he has those traits that Finch loves. Like, he has that similar traits to Jalen Clark where Finch will gravitate to a player like that. Defensive minded, really big, like can rebound his position, is not going to make a ton of mistakes because he doesn't play outside of the realm of his skill set very often. And I think when you're comparing his season next season to someone like Rob Dillingham or even TJ Shannon, you don't really you get more of a Jalen Clark vibe than a TJ Shannon or Rob Dillingham vibe, where those guys are going to make more mistakes because they're just more kind of dynamic players who are still trying to learn the NBA ropes. Whereas I do think Bornjaye plays a role. That role is already inbuilt into this team because Gobert already plays it. And I do think that if Gobert's injured, if Randall's injured, if Nas is injured, there's that role there that he can step into right away and play 10 or 15 minutes in a game. And it won't feel like they're carving out something new for him, like that. It felt like they were carving out something for Rob Dillingham to play. They had to make space for him to do his thing, where I think Bornjaye eventually, he's just going to be able to slot in to this rotation. And whether it is this season, whether it's next season, whether it's for 15 games or whether it's for 7 games during the season, I do think that he's an NBA ready player because he's such a simple kind of player. And that reduces it a little bit to what the cool things he can do. But the Gobert role is already there, and I think he can step right into it. And like you said, Gobert's getting older. There is fit issues with him. There's issues of him just falling off a little bit like he did last season. And there's issues with him not being as effective in the playoffs, which is just a thing now that's happened multiple years in a row. So I think I'm excited for Bornjaye, and I think that Finch is excited for Bornjaye, and that always makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting just to see how he slots in. We know how Finch is with the young guys, and, if they earn it, they'll play, but they've got to really earn it. So looking forward to that. And all right, I'll switch over to one of mine then. This one is the word of the offseason, right? Continuity. I think one of my bigger overreactions here is that through 20 games or through the first quarter of the season, essentially, the Timberwolves will be a top 2 seed in the West, and essentially the vibes from the start of last season will just be a complete 180. They're going to start off, I think, really, really, really hot. I mean, Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle, Dante, those two in year 2 here, or at least with a full offseason here. Other teams are going to be trying to establish new players. Rockets with KD, I think that might take just a little bit with his personality more as much as anything. But I mean, the Wolves gotta come out hot. They're gonna be, after falling flat again last season in the conference finals. It's the Anthony Edwards year that everyone's kind of hyping up to be his MVP leap. We'll see if that happens. But I really do think, at least for the start of this season, the first quarter of the games, 20 or so, they should be 15-5, 16-4. They gotta start hot. And the schedule is kind of iffy. It's 50-50 of really good teams and also some of the worst teams in the leagues. They're going to play the champions, of course. They play the Pacers, the Knicks, but all in all, they also play some really, really bad teams. So I think the first 20, they're going to come out, they're going to start hot, and they should. It's going to be interesting to see what the rotation looks like out of the gate. But yeah, I think it'll be a lot like year 2 of Rudy mirroring this year, similar to how year 1 of Rudy kind of mirrored last year in a way.
Yeah, and look, that's what you get from continuity, isn't it? Like, the hope is that there's no teething issues to start the season. They can hit the ground running. They've got this team that they know is a good team and that has proven they're a good team. I mean, they were 5th in net rating after the All-Star break last season, plus 8.3, which is a monstrous net rating, considering OKC was plus 12.5, which is just insane. But they fixed issues on the fly last season. They kind of built the plane while they were flying, and that's inevitably going to come with some of the chaos that we did see. This season, you kind of hope that the plane is already built and that they're off the runway as soon as the season starts. I think Chris Finch will be really happy that he can set his rotation in training camp and won't have to worry about Karl Anthony Towns getting traded just before media day, or worry about, integrating new guys into the rotation, and worry about building kind of this thing while, on the fly when he didn't have the plans in place for the whole offseason and what he was going to do. And I think that's going to help with guys like those end of the rotation guys that we've been talking about, the Dillinghams, Clarks, Shannons. It's going to help with Julius Randle. It's going to help with Rudy Gobert because he knows what role he's playing, what minutes he's playing, who he's playing alongside. And all of that really just adds up to, can you start the season 20-10 rather than 15-15? And that makes such a huge difference at the end of the season when these other teams like Houston, like these teams who have made off-season moves do start to find their chemistry. Hopefully by the time they do find their chemistry, Minnesota's already rolling and already kind of got all those plans in place to keep going. So I think it's a great point. Like that's their superpower this season. And really, if they don't capitalize on that superpower, it's probably going to be the failure of the season because they didn't go into the offseason to make big moves. I mean, they did go for KD, obviously, but they didn't pull off any of these big moves. So when you don't do that, you bank on continuity to get you through. And obviously, they already have a lot of talent. It's not like a young team that's trying to build on continuity. It's a team that made the Western Conference Finals. So yeah, I think that has to be their superpower next season.
Yeah, and in a weird way, they're injecting youth with Dillingham and TJ Shannon. They're almost injecting like rookies considering how much they played, but they've got a year under their belt in a really well-run system, a really well-run team here. So they're injecting these guys that are going to bring life. And if other teams make adjustments, maybe it'll really start to come out after those first 20 games or so, after teams can gauge what those guys play like. So I think the Wolves come out playing like a free style, but also an effectively free style that works well to what they've got here. So I'm looking forward to it. Ant and Julius are in the gym together. Like,
yeah,
I think they got a connection.
I think what we've learned from this team as well is that they're a momentum-based team. Like when they're not playing well, they get stuck in that mud for 15, 20 games, and it really doesn't feel good. And when they're playing really well, they can really ride that wave all the way, So if they start the season on that wave, it might kind of last them throughout the whole season. Like it did the 2 years before when they made the Western Conference Finals for the first time. It just felt like they never slipped momentum. They never lost. I think they didn't lose 3 games in a row all season. And it's a weird, and that's a weird kind of expectation to set. But can you be a team that's consistently good rather than what we saw last season, which was a kind of a bad team, an okay team, and a great team all in one season? So I think that's probably the hope there.
Yeah, and I don't know what happens after the first chunk of games. This team could, they're getting older, like we mentioned. They've got positions that are really question marks, but at least with Rudy's fresh legs to start the season, Conley as well, like 16-4. Why not? Let's do it. What did they start 2 years ago? It was really good. Like was it 15-5? It was something like that.
Yeah, I think maybe 17-5 by the end of it. Like yeah, so that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Like that they just kicked the door down on the season. They didn't and then they ran through it. Whereas this season it felt like they meekly opened the door and tiptoed through it and eventually found their way throughout the season. But
if they can get some breathing room too, like you get breathing room beginning of the season, you can give Conley a day off here and there if he needs one because he's going to need him.
Yeah.
You can try things.
And the West will eat itself like it did last season. Like a lot of teams get a lot of wins, but no one except OKC had, over 60 wins. Like this is a conference that if you can separate yourself early, that'll just go a huge way to when it's the pointy end of the season. If you win 56 games compared to 51, like that could be the second seed compared to the 8th seed at this point, like with how crazy the West is.
No, for real.
I think that this first 20 games is really going to say a lot about where this team is.
Certainly. Yeah. Well, I'll throw it back to you. You got another one for me?
Yeah, as usual. I mean, I've said this before, but I just love celebrating Anthony Edwards. Like, I sometimes
I
think that
got
we
that
get,
in there too, something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think we get stuck on trying to focus on what he needs to improve, trying to focus on what he's doing wrong in these micro moments throughout the season. But if I'm overreacting to the off season, I mean, he just looks like he's in awesome shape, which is, um, you can say that about everyone every season, but everything you see from Edwards, everything you hear about him, it looks like he's really locked in with his body type, with the way he's getting in his cardio, with the way he's kind of training to be in shape for a really long season, and the expectations that the season is going to be, more than 2 rounds of the playoffs. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited that he's going away from last season with that 3 ball already locked in. And now he's able to kind of focus on some other things as well, whether it's the mid range game, pick and roll passing, gelling with Julius Randle, all the things that you want to see more from him next season. I think we know that Anthony Edwards goes away every offseason and he comes back with something in his bag that just is so much better than the season before. And maybe this season it's just stamina, able to play more minutes, at a higher velocity for a longer time. Or maybe it's, that mid-range game's locked in. Maybe he's finishing at the rim improves. Maybe he comes out first game and throws 4 lobs to Rudy Gobert. I don't know what it is, but that's the things
Yeah,
that.
don't push it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I expect Anthony Edwards to show me something that I'm surprised at how good he is, because he always has. So, I guess my overreaction would be that I just think Ant is going to get way better again, because at this point, I'm going to think that until he kind of hits the top of the hill, and hits the flat ground on his
Right.
potential. Like right now, it's just every year we're going up the hill. So I want to see what another step up the hill looks like next season.
Yeah, and there's not really a reason to for me to push back on that. Like we haven't seen anything from Edwards that would make me say, "Oh, I don't know, I think he's going to slow down." And the discipline and just the ability, I guess, to get in this excellent cardio shape as he continues his path as a superstar, and kind of in today's NBA where it's a lot of endorsements and a lot of just stuff off the court too. He's really really putting in the work, and the quote from a couple of years ago really sticks with me after the playoffs where he just mentioned he didn't really know what it was like cardio wise to have to play another couple months after the regular season. So for him to say that, and then the next last year, obviously he was in great shape going through the season, and he's only getting in better shape. It's just when he says something, he means it. He's usually going to at
Mhm.
least try to put it into action or just into his game. So yeah, the cardio side of it and just game shape is probably the most impressive thing, because I mean, and not anyone can add a skill or something or try to, but yeah, I mean, for a superstar to just keep getting better like he does, it's
Mhm.
cool. It's really impressive, and we haven't really had a player like this ever. So it's almost like I want to temper expectations just because
Yeah.
it seems impossible. But I mean, this guy could legitimately be the best player in the NBA next year, the MVP. Like, why not?
Mhm. And
It's
and
very,
I
very
think
possible.
I think sometimes we as fans scoff at someone saying, that it's too much kind of work, mentally or physically
Sure.
to get through this long season. But a lot of these guys are skinny, not skinny, but those wiry athletes who are built for long distance running, for say, like it's Anthony Edwards is built like a tank.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't his natural body type to come into the league and play 100 games of basketball in 6 months. Like, and that is something he's had to work on, just like other players have to work on, for 3 off seasons to get a 3 ball that's as good as his. Like his kind of bugaboo, I guess, has been being able to get into that NBA body, which is difficult when you're a big human being who's kind of built like a football player. Like he's not built like Tyrese Halliburton or Kevin Durant, or even Kevin Garnett back, like for a
Yeah.
Wolves example. So I think it's taken not a few seasons for the penny to drop, but maybe a few seasons to be able to get into that ideal shape. And you look at those photos and stuff that they posted yesterday, the Timberwolves, like he looks lean and he's never going to be not strong. Like I think he can get really lean and still be one of the strongest players in the NBA. So I'm excited for that. And then like I said, if he can combine that kind of body transformation with also adding another skill on top of his game, yeah, it's kind of scary to think about, like you said,
To
to
do
put
both
him,
of those is
yeah,
beyond impressive. Like,
and
and
to put
I know
him
the
in those.
season hasn't started yet, and we're like, whoa, like he's in great shape, and he added
Yeah,
another skill.
watch him
But like,
shoot
right,
41% now for the first 2 months.
we
Um,
were like proclaimed he's added it, but like no reason to think he hasn't. He does it every year, so yeah,
yeah, and it's weird to kind of put him in those MVP talks because it does feel like you're putting the horse before the cart a little bit as a Timberwolves fan. But
yeah,
um, that's what you need. Like that's literally the only way that this team wins a championship is if Anthony Edwards is one of the 5 best players in the league. Like because one of the 5 best players usually just wins the championship. And I think he wants to get. I think he's got the drive to get there, the talent, the coaching stuff around him. The ecosystem to do it. So yeah, I'm super excited to see Ant.
yeah. The biggest question may just be, does the team fit around him? And we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to my next overreaction here. I do think, or at least, I don't know if I think it, but I think there's a good chance, overreacting a little, that around the trade deadline, the Wolves will finally make that big move we've kind of been waiting for. Whether it be a guy like Kobe White, Colin Sexton, Malik Monk, like a scoring guard, essentially, that all offseason we've been going. Are they going to finally add this piece? I think the season's going to go on. 40 game, what's like 40 games trade deadline? Either way, Conley's going to be getting older, might be injured. Dillingham, I still think, is going to be quite small on the court,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
they're going. Sorry, like he just is.
he's not growing.
Right, unless he is, he's like 20. But anyways, I think it's going to go on, and they're going to realize they need someone else at that position, and I don't know what it takes to get a trade done. And it's not really. Maybe we can explore that another time, maybe
Mm-hmm.
around the trade deadline. But I think they will actually make a trade deadline move, a pretty sizable one, something they haven't done. Well, I guess D'Lo Conley, but that wasn't really like a winning season, like a move
Mm-hmm.
to push you over the edge. I think the Wolves are going to see Anthony Edwards having a career year, Julius Randle having a much better year, Dante better year, and they're going to kind of just be obviously one really nice offensive piece away, and then they pull the trigger. Like I again don't know exactly what the package looks like, but Connolly, I think, makes a move here. I've trusted what he's done so far and could really see a big trade deadline splash for pushing you over the edge. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I think especially if they don't get that really good start to the season like we expected, and look, the West is tough. Like it's not it's not a divine right to get back to the Western Conference Finals just because you've been there twice in a row. Um, and I don't think progression for this team means they have to be in the finals, but also from an organizational standpoint, they are going to expect this team to be really good. And I don't think Tim Conley has invested, all of these assets and the owners. Obviously, they're not in the luxury tax or the second apron this season, but like this is a team that's still paying first apron luxury tax. Like it's an expensive team, and they're going. And if it gets to the trade deadline and they're 35 and 32 or something, like I don't know what date the trade line is in terms of games, but like if this is a team that's hovering around 500, which they very well could be, like that's what they were last season. The West is really tough. It's not out of the realms of possibility to be, sitting in the ninth seed at the trade deadline. I think there's no doubt that they will trade someone if that's the case. Randall, Nas, maybe Dillingham in there as well. Maybe one of the rookies who kind of give you some extra value as an asset. I mean, it could be Jaden if things were going wrong, and they really thought that they could get a huge upgrade. Like, I don't want to trade Jaden by any means, but
Yeah.
those guys are the assets that are in play, and I think they're all guys who are on good contracts and you can piece together to get a really good player. So Tim Conley does something most trade deadlines. Like, I don't think he did anything last season.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, was it only the D'Lo Conley trade here with the Wolves, or did he make another?
There was the Malik Bees. Was that Rosas? The
Rosas did.
Beasley.
Well, that was the
Yeah.
Gobert trade. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in Denver, he's always been known for doing things on draft night and on trade deadline, whether it's big or small things. So
Yeah.
he's a guy he's a wheeler and he's a dealer. Like he's a guy who I think that wants to get things done. And at this point, they're so invested into this team that they're not going to sit on their hands and kind of let a season peter out if they can find a way to improve it. So I still think Randall is a guy who they signed to eventually trade. Like I just don't think Randall's going to play his 3 seasons of this contract with the Timberwolves. So if that's my logic thinking that, then I kind of think at any point he could get traded. And I think Nas is kind of in the same boat. If it'll kind of be either or.
It's got to be one of them in the next 2 years. It's got to be.
Yeah, and because they're both really good players, they give you that option that we can trade Julius Randle for a point guard, and Nas Reed can now become our 4. We can trade Nas Reed for a point guard, and we've still got Randle there at the 4. We've got Jaden who can play backup 4. I think TJ Shannon can play some backup 4. Like the versatility of the roster and how deep they are in certain positions does give them the ability to trade players for players who aren't in that position. And that's a good flexibility to have. And I think we're going to see them use it, whether it's in the middle of this season, at the end, the middle of next season. So I just think, you're dead right, because we can't just expect that this team's going to be the team unless they're, winning 40 games to every 10 losses or something. So,
yeah,
I expect that too.
I think it could be a combination of my 2 that I've listed, where like you start 17-5, and then you just like go middle 5. You go 500 the rest of the way until the deadline maybe, and you see like what it can be. You see what the team maybe could look like if you take that next step or just add that final piece. So yeah, I think that's a very real possibility, and they've got the GM to do it. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to give you one more. And I've been positive this whole time. I'm in my positive era of the off season because I'm so excited.
When we started doing this, we were both pretty negative a little, so it's good.
Yeah, and this off season did bother me at times, and there are things about it that I think will continue to bother me until proven differently. But yeah, I'm so excited to see this season. I'm sick of the off season. I'm done with it. I want to see all the fun things that this team brings. And the third one's TJ Shannon. I mean, my overreaction is this, that I think the way he performed in the playoffs, in the back end of the season, and then just dominated summer league, like I'm pretty close to full faith that this guy's just an NBA ready scorer. Like if you gave him 10 shots a night, he might score 16 points a game. And that's probably not going to happen on this team. But I think you've got another Nas Reed-ish type of like bench spark plug there that can bring such a different dynamic. And that's what excites me, because it's different if you have a player who's similar to another player on your roster who can do the same things. It's helpful. If it's, say, Yoan Bornjaye with Rudy Gobert. But what excites me is when you get a guy like TJ Shannon who does things that no one else does on the roster, like elite transition threat, rim pressure, driving downhill off Ant's gravity. Like, I just want to see this guy play minutes. I think he's going to play minutes. If they can find a way to cover the defense that they're going to lose from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, it could be Jalen Clark, it could be, Ant playing better, it could be Jaden in different lineups. Like, you have TJ Shannon there as a steam-trained scorer, transition demon, someone who just gives Ant another player next to him who can get to the rim. And they did not have that at all last season, sorry. And I'm just super excited to see if they, it looks like they're going to really try and tap into that. And I think Finch, I think if you prove yourself in a playoff series like he did in that OKC series, I think that means so much to Chris Finch that he can trust you going forward. And if he has his trust in TJ Shannon, if he's giving him 15 to 20 minutes a game, I mean, I just think once he's let out of the box this season, it's going to be really hard to put him back in it.
Yeah, he's one of the bigger, I don't know if wild card is the right word, but just like someone where we don't fully know what we're expecting, but we expect it to be like good. It's hard to project him having a year that we kind of leave disappointed in him almost. So it's almost, and this is just setting myself up to be completely like ruined with that statement, but like it's almost how good can he be in this 8th man role? Maybe like spot starts. If Jaden goes down with an injury, he can slide in there. Like, you trade Jaden, he's right in there. Just kidding. No, it's good. I like TJ Shannon, man. We both do. I think his summer league was a lot of. I mean, he was the highlight of the summer league. Everyone else was, up and down. So it was good
And
to
we
see him.
called it. We called
Yeah,
it. He was
yeah,
too good to be there, and it was fun
exactly.
watching him be too good to be there.
Exactly. So yeah, now hopefully he's too good for the NBA as well, or just good enough to be an eighth man with these Wolves. And you're right, he just brings so much life and energy in transition that they just don't have. Like, there's been times with this team last year where it was just like, can they get any sort of injection of life in like a boring game where it's just middling
Yeah.
back and forth with, another middling team or something. So I'm excited to have a spark plug here that can just sub in. And Nikhil was like that a little bit, but he was he was a little erratic. I liked he was good, but I just think we know almost more of what we're getting with TJ Shannon. I don't know if he's a better player, but like, yeah, you know what you're getting when you're putting him in the game almost. So very
And
excited to see that.
he fits. Like last season, we saw that bench unit that often just came in and saved games for Minnesota. Like it would just be the worst first 6 minutes of basketball you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
And
Nikhil was
then
like great. Like,
yeah, and
but
then you'd have Nikhil, Dante, Nas would sub in and finally get some pep in this team's step. So I just think that it's going to be even more fun with TJ Shannon because I think he fits Dante and Nas even better. Like they want to
yeah,
run in transition, they want to get out quickly. Like I just think that on a random January night against Charlotte, and it's a tie ball game halfway through the third quarter, and you get that second bench stint from those guys, like. I just think he's going to be the type of guy who can rip off 8 points in a row and kind of give you that gap and that separations that you can ride to the end of the game. Like that's the fun things that I think he has in his bag. And like he's been a scorer forever. Like he was a scorer at Illinois. I think he's older, so he doesn't have as much potential room to grow. But I think he's a really good player who still is kind of searching for the confidence, or just the consistent role in the NBA. So like I said, I feel like if he starts the season getting 10 minutes a night, he might finish the season getting 18 minutes a night. Like, I just think that it's going to be difficult to stop his progression if he gets comfortable in the NBA. And I just think, and also I think it's going to be tough to stop his progression because this team needs that. Like they're one of the slowest teams in the league. They were one of the worst transition teams in the league. They were the last team in percentage of transition points that came off defensive rebounds, which is like, it means that if they're not getting turnovers, if they're not kind of looking ahead already in an open court, they don't play in transition at all. They don't move the ball quickly up the floor. And I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr., that's what he does. So, yeah, I just think he fits this team really well.
Yeah, should be exciting. He's definitely someone we've touched on a lot this season. So, hopefully he does get a sizable role to start the year. And I agree. There's no reason that he shouldn't. So,
and I will say that
yeah.
I'm excited to see what he is defensively, because I think last season he felt like a rookie defensively. But he's got an NBA body. He was a good defender at Illinois, not a great defender, but a good defender. And someone who does cause a bit of chaos defensively. He can block shots. He can
Not going to get pushed around much.
Yeah, and he can blow up like a dribble handoff for a steal.
Yep.
Like I want to see next season him be a decent defender because he has had that year experience. And I don't think he can be a liability. I think kind of with Rob, you would kind of expect him to have some liability moments. Like if you're a 6'6" guy who's super athletic, strong, like you do need to be a passable at worst defender. So I'm expecting that from him.
There is maybe just like with how he plays, there might be a downside if he subs in and in 4 minutes he has 3 fouls occasionally,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's able to rein it in. Like he's not someone that doesn't know how to rein it in, at least I don't think so.
Yeah,
And
and
that's
rookie stuff as well. Like that is a rookie trait, is to foul a lot. So I think next season,
but this also still will kind of be like, it won't be a rookie year, but it's not like he played a full rotation's worth of like a season last year. So it's almost still a rookie year, so you'd expect some of that. But yeah, he's a rotation player, and he's got to be.
Yeah, and I'm excited for him to be. I think day one, preseason game in 2 weeks, he's going to play 25 minutes in that game. Like, considering that the older guys probably might not even play at all. So, I think preseason, if I'm sure we'll do an episode, but if you're looking at things to look at in the preseason, I think TJ Shannon is definitely at the top of that list. With how much can he hit the ground running and earn those rotation minutes that I think he's going to be given right away.
Yeah, Him and Jesse Edwards. Is he still on the team?
No, he plays in Australia now.
Oh, you can go see him.
Yes, yeah, he actually plays in Melbourne where I live. So
Your favorite
it
player. Yeah.
seems like I might run into him on the streets, which might not be a good thing.
It seems like he's almost tracking you down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I'm thinking maybe we might have to delete some videos.
That's good stuff. Oh man, sorry. Whoa. The rest of my overreactions are ones that you also went over, Bornjaye and Edwards. So I'm out, but this was good. We ran through some, and yeah, I don't. Were they all overreactions or were they just reactions? I feel like we did all right.
Yeah, and kind of there was some predictions in there,
Yeah.
some reactions, some hopes and dreams and wishes. But I mean, it was nice to just go over some things, I guess, that were still in our mind from the offseason.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a good way to. How can I title this? So there we go. Should be fun. We'll be back next week, I think. As of right now, no reason that we won't be, but sometimes on Thursday we say I can't do it. But either way, right now we should be back. And yeah, preseason in a couple weeks, 10 days left of September. We're almost there. Maybe we'll get some news. Maybe Conley will make the biggest trade you've ever seen again. Who knows? But yeah, Jake, you got anything else?
No, like I said, I'm just excited. I'm sick of the off season. I'm excited to get this thing, rolling.
You put out a YouTube video, yesterday?
I did. The first one for a month. I took a little break. Obviously, I went on holiday, but I'd taken a little break before that. But I'm back in the swing of things. Video was kind of, like I said just earlier, on the transition game of Minnesota and how these new guys, TJ Shannon, Jalen Clark, Rob Dillingham, not new guys, but new guys into more of a rotation role, can really help that. 3 guys who are really fast, really want to play in transition. And they're about to be in the rotation on a team that doesn't want to play in rotation in transition at all. So yeah, just go and watch that. Hows and Grounds YouTube, all that good stuff.
Yep, it'll be linked in the description as always. Thanks everyone. See you next week.